We'll call to order the May 9th, 2024 Danby Select Board meeting. Would you please rise and join me in the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Abbott.
Here.
Powers.
Here.
Forward.
Present.
Haines.
Here.
Bender.
Here. Beth, would you please read the procedure for remote access?
Procedure for remote attendance at select board meetings. Remote access to select board meetings, while not required by law, is offered in order to encourage access and participation for as many of our town's citizens as possible. It is understood that a select board meeting is a meeting open to the public, but not a public meeting per se. Business is conducted and votes are cast by board members. Therefore, public attendees, in person or remote, who wish to comment on an agenda action item, when it is addressed in the course of the meeting, should indicate such intention during the public comment period at the beginning of the meeting. To maintain order as well as the efficiency of the meeting, the rules for remote attendee participation are: remote attendees will be muted by online host upon joining the meeting, remaining so unless recognized to speak. Intention or desire to speak in order to comment or ask questions will be indicated by the use of the hand-raising function of the remote platform. People will be recognized in the order in which the hand-raising function is activated. Online host will alert the chair to the presence of remote questions or comments. Remote participants, when recognized, will unmute their device and identify themselves with clearly spoken first and last name. Comment or question will be limited to 2 to 3 minutes, after which participant will be muted. This time limit will apply to in-person participants as well. General ground rules concerning decorum remains the same as that which is expected of citizens, guests, and board members attending in person. Namely, the speaker will not be interrupted and will not interrupt other speakers. The speaker will treat the proceedings and other speakers with dignity and respect, addressing the issue and not personalities. Procedures for use of the online platform and the above standards will be reviewed at the beginning of each meeting, which we've done.
Thank you, Beth.
You're welcome.
Motion to set the agenda. As you can see, there have been a few changes that have been written in there. If anybody has anything else that needs to be added, now it's time to speak up.
Do you want to know about the participants at this point?
Yes, that would be
Okay. We have Annette Smith, Chris Hardaway and Terry Parker, Dan Garceau, Doug White, and an unidentified iPhone.
Could the unidentified iPhone
I
person...
can ask, but I'm never sure whether they get the chat message, so I will ask.
Please
Yeah.
ask. Okay, so I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented with the additions and deletions.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All those in favor of adopting the amended agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, we have a motion to adopt the minutes of the Select Board meeting of April 11th, 2024.
You had public comment in between there, Brad.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now is the time for public comment.
No one here at this moment.
Any of the...
We just are here in regard representing Ed and Dolly Griffith about the water issue and the allocation of funds. And if we were needed to ask questions, we're here to do that.
Okay, so that will be coming up later on in the agenda, and we'll put down if you wish to speak at that time or answer questions. Okay, any other public? Now I'll take a motion to adopt the minutes of the select.
I make a motion to adopt the minutes for the previous meeting. I'll second it.
Motion's made and seconded. Any corrections or deletions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have an updated version of the emergency management plan, and it has been signed by Chief Abbott, and they just like to have a motion to say that everybody's in favor of it. There haven't really been any changes in who's doing what.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, so motion is made by Fuller, seconded by Haines. Any discussion? All those in favor of adopting the updated emergency management plan, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, we have been requested by the listers. This is a yearly thing that we do. They have signed that there are no appeals pending on the 2024 grand list. And now the select board needs to sign off on that. So I will take a motion. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the 2023. Those fiscal years confuse me. Motion to sign the 2023 grand list, no appeals pending document presented by the listers.
I'll make the motion, we sign it.
So, okay, let me go. And I'll second it.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. Is there discussion?
Now, why are we discussing the 2023 grand list? That's...
Hasn't. Yeah, we're in 24 now, so that was last year's grand list. So now that we've gone through grievance and
We're putting it to bed.
we had an appeal.
Okay, so this is the...
We're all done with it.
We're all done with it. It can rest happily in the vault after we do this. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried unanimously. And next on the agenda, we need a motion to either repair or replace bridge number 7, as discussed last month when Adam Goudreau was here.
You don't happen to have the... Just to refresh us, what we're talking for money again.
I have it in there.
What's that?
So that, I think I have it in the minutes, which is not usually. The rehabilitation was 2.5 million, and the town share would be 62,500, and the replacement was 5 million, and the town share would be 250,000.
Now on, if they replace that, that was gonna take a little out of that corner. And if they
Well, I
rehab
guess
it, it
in a
makes no
complete
changes.
replacement, we get to actually approve
What goes on?
the plans.
Whereas a rehab is just.
Well, we've
fixing
kinda
what's there.
already, they sent us down their ideas and
Yeah.
we approved them because it wasn't much of a
Right.
change. So, in this, I think the intent would be to do that. My only concern with any of this is if all of them bridges are roughly in the same shape, how many of them can we afford to replace up through there? If they're gonna keep at $250,000, which we gotta come up with in 2027, I think it was.
I don't know, I understand that point.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting to hear some discussion.
Well, I mean, I don't know. If you look at it under, safety wise, I think that's probably one of the worst bridges on the road. Just the way cars meet on it.
Yeah, I think safety-wise, as far as the way,
Yeah.
as far as the bridge structure, I don't think it's really any worse shape than
No, just
the others
if
up through there.
they were gonna do something, we can make the road better, I mean, that would be one reason to look at replacing it instead of rehabbing it, to help make the road better.
Even with rehabbing it, you would gain a little more room
Well, you
on the
get the
bridge.
width.
You get more width on there, and I think they were able to turn it a little, but not a lot. But I don't know how much we can turn it if we go with the new bridge either.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're limited by many things, but
And it's 96 years old.
Good shape for 96.
It is. Better than a lot of people I know. Ken had a,
Well, my concern is that if we end up redecking it and we end up 10 years or 15 years down the line, have an issue with the abutments, that 250,000 is gonna be 650,000
Right.
after paying, already the 65,000.
Well, my concern is when we start the work on it, if we do a rehab, are they then gonna say, oh, well, we found this problem that we didn't see before?
And that'll throw a whole wrench in the works. They'll have to stand back and replan.
and that could very well happen.
Right. I mean, I don't wanna spend the money, but on the other hand, I hate to get partway into the project and then them tell us that you're spending the money.
Well, the good news is we're only spending half the money because they've got to redesign and we're still only on the hook for half of a new.
Right.
But
Didn't we run into this same thing with High Bridge?
Highbridge was,
Wasn't that redecked a while back and then we, in the last 15 years or so,
boy, I don't believe I've ever seen
we?
Highbridge.
did we do something, didn't we do something to that a while back? I didn't get a chance to talk
Not
to
that I'm
Janice.
aware of, Ken. I mean, Highbridge was the only one. We did George Berdine's, meaning the town.
Yeah,
And then we did, this one was the last one I remember being done as far as redecking. And that was, I'm thinking it was 20 years ago now.
At least,
Do you remember it? Because they had the one lane there.
a
And
long time.
yeah,
which one are you saying?
the one that they're replacing now.
Oh,
had the redecking
Yeah.
done on it. And not a complete redeck, they just jackhammer out the, put new, rebar in there. And that was my question at the first meeting was, why is this one, the first one, when it was the last one rehabbed? But, no, I mean, I guess Mike's idea that we can maybe get a whole lot better,
Well, that, and like Steve says, if they dive into that one and say, oh, whoops, we gotta do more.
right?
Going this way, at least we pretty much have a fixed cost going into it.
right. And he did bring up that scouring issue and, we have been having more significant rain events. So it'd probably be a good idea to,
The only thing I guess, 2027 is 3 years away.
So we gotta start putting money away
That's
for that.
$70,000 a year onto our tax bill. It's just something that we gotta keep in
We're
mind.
gonna, we'll have to work that out as we go, but at least we have 3 years to plan, or to,
Take it out of our salt.
I was thinking we'd take out blacktop budget.
That's fine.
The question about, I know nothing about where the ARPA money goes, has gone, could go in the future, or if any of that could be designated toward a future project like this.
No. And the reason is, and Mike can be the more.
We're gonna talk about ARPA a little later.
Okay.
But I just, we did our reporting 2 weeks ago. And we have to have that money either spent or under contract by the end of this year.
Oh, so this
We can't put it out.
can't be under contract if it's
Yeah, we can't
not.
put it out 3 years like that.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Nice
But
thought.
otherwise, it would fit the profile.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It would fit right into that bailiwick. Okay.
All right, well, someone make a motion.
I'll make the motion that we replace the bridge
With a new
second.
structure.
with the new structure.
Is there a second?
Kenny
I'll
did.
second.
That's you.
Sorry.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Clerk, would you call the roll?
Abbott,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
Haines,
Yes.
Danby.
Yes. Motion is carried to replace the structure. The Rutland Regional report on the grant, they're still researching that. There's apparently been a couple changes along the way.
And that was the grant for the project down there. For the engineering of the
Yeah,
project.
for the engineering. So they've asked to be postponed until June. Then we'll move on to the delinquent tax collector's report, and you have a copy of that. He has 4 parcels, and Doug, I'll let you talk about that.
This is about all I'm really coming to you tonight with is every year about this time we always do a list of tax sales, and I've got 4 properties that I'd like to put up this year, turn over to Kevin O'Toole if you guys are in agreement with them. One of them would be Roy Smith on Brook Road. It's a piece of land only. It's the one where Dan Oliva puts his storage tank. There's a little shed up over the hill there, there's that one. Morris Price on Old Otis Road, 2 acres of land with a house. Amanda Reed, Jack Reed's place. It's off of Tiff Road on Reed Lane, 3 acres of land, house, buildings, and a mobile home on that. And Shirley Roberts with her mobile home and 1 acre of land. That would be the 4. So my question to you is, does the town, wish to have me pursue these, go to a tax sale with them, and do you guys wish to possibly bid in case no one that comes does bid on any of these properties or all of them? That'd be my main question to you guys right now.
I would think that if it's in your protocol, the timing that we've been doing it with, that we should put them up for tax sale. And yes, we will bid on them if they're not other bidders.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so I don't know an exact date yet. It's probably gonna be at least 6 weeks to 8 weeks.
Ken and Steve, how do you feel on that?
Yeah, I mean, we gotta stay with our protocol, what we're doing, so.
Now, by the time everything's advertised in all the papers and Kevin O'Toole does everything he has to and all of the time and do the statutes, as soon as I know an exact date, I'll come back to you guys with it. But if you could possibly maybe just choose who you're gonna have bid for the town with a backup person, just in case that person can't make it. That would be good if we get that taken care of tonight too.
I think we should be able to do it by next thing.
Well, we have it.
Because the problem is if we give you a person right now and then Kevin's date conflicts with that, so why don't we,
And that's why I was asking for a backup, like.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to save myself coming to another meeting and messing around with another.
Oh, if you get us a date, we can send
yeah, I
it
mean,
to
we
you.
can email you the
Okay,
thing.
alright,
That's,
that's fair enough. And unless you guys have any other questions for reports that have been.
Do you need a motion to put these up?
Yeah, if you could, we need a motion.
I do have a question.
Could you speak up more when you're speaking from back here? Because it's got to go all the way to that red microphone. Thank you.
Are these ones that have gone up previously and been taken care of?
Shirley Roberts is the only one that's a multiple,
Okay.
and that one's pretty much yearly.
Right.
Been yearly for I don't know how long. And that one, probably whoever ends up bidding on that might end up with it, because I think she is actually moved out now. I don't think anyone's even in that. So I'm not really sure what's gonna happen with it this time.
And it was explained to her when she reclaimed it last year after we had 2 bidders that had bid on it, that we were going, that was the 3rd strike and she's out.
I do remember having that discussion.
And there's been interest from a couple of different parties on that property already, so there's probably, I'm probably 95% sure that there's gonna be bidders for that property this time. But just to be safe, you know, I've gotta have the town here in case, you know.
I'll make a motion to have Doug go through the tax sale on the 4 properties he presented.
I'll second it.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you, Doug.
You guys have any other questions on anything else that I've been sending you over the last few months? Nothing? All right.
Well, and as soon as you let us know a date, we'll...
Okay. All right.
I'll probably be around to do it, but I do have several vacation times planned, so...
Once we get a date, it's easier to look at.
Exactly.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
Okay, you have a good
Thanks, Doug.
evening.
Thank you, Doug.
And the treasurer's report, you've received. Jennifer's at a class this evening, so she can't be with us. But she said if there's any questions, feel free to email her tomorrow. The item about the new law mandating the, what was it,
0.44%.
for daycare has to be decided upon at the June meeting. So you can think about that until then, and,
Well,
All right.
it's if we're gonna do the 0.11 of the employee's
Employee
salaries.
makes that, and they want them to put that in, it's that much a year.
And it's, I think the difference is only gonna cost town, like Mike said, probably about $180.
I make a motion, we don't do
you wanna
it.
make the motion
We,
now?
yeah,
Yeah, I make a motion, we just cover
pay
it.
the full 0.44% of the payroll tax,
Yeah.
and I'll second it.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion?
0.44% of 1%.
$0.44. Okay, hearing no discussion, all those in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And I
Okay,
abstain, Drea.
and 1 abstention. The next thing was to finalize the price schedule on dump day. And what we discovered was that appliances that have Freon in them at the East Dorset and up in Rutland, it costs $45 to dump them, and we only were charging $35, so we'd be coming out $10 short on every item.
Oh, so it costs us $45 to get rid of them.
Yeah, so I think we should up it to 45.
We're gonna
I
have
would agree
to.
with that.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to go 45.
Okay, so to approve last year's price structure with the change of refrigerators and freezers and appliances with Freon to $45.
Yes, that,
Are you looking for a second?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? None. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Where's my agenda go? Okay, Mike, the floor is yours on allocation of ARPA funds. We have $257,809.67 in ARPA funds at the moment.
That was we reported them a couple of weeks ago, and that's when I found out that we either have to have them spent or under contract by December 31st of this year. So we need to figure out what we're doing. So probably by next meeting, if we all...
Well, I have...
I mean, if somebody has ideas, you know, if we've got
Yeah,
something...
well, I've done some research. We have the project up at Danby Four Corners, and in talking with Ken, it seems if we allocated $30,000 there, that should cover what needs to be done immediately.
What are we doing immediately?
Taking down the house, filling it in. What else? Paying for dumpsters for that.
And what about the communications in the Four Corners? Because I'd like to piggyback new radios for the town equipment on when we do the
repeater and
up
stuff.
in the Four
Yeah.
Corners. That way we
Now,
can,
do we have a cost on the tower? And as an emergency thing, do we need a permit for the tower?
That's in the works, because we're moving it from Burrs to there. And stupidly, we've gotta get a permit because it's actually changed the area.
Yeah.
But that is in the works.
Now, is that a
And do
federal
we have a
permit?
dollar
Yeah.
figure?
I do not have a dollar figure with me tonight.
Do you think we can get it for next,
Yes, I will
Yeah, I
get
think
that.
what we gotta do is at
get
least,
these dollar figures?
yeah, get the dollar figures for anything that the Four Corners projects that we can get cleaned up, done, and usable and making our lives better. Now, with that, back to that tower, Ken, was that gonna help us with the communications at the west side?
Yes, it should. Especially with the repeater being there instead of at Burrs, because it's already closer.
Right.
Currently, the repeater that we use, we actually get more coverage than you guys get. But by going to the corners, it's gonna increase the power of it. Plus, the repeater that we're using now is outdated. The new one's gonna be,
And this is a 1,000-foot tall tower?
actually, believe it or not, it's actually, I think it's between 45 and 50 feet. The shorter distance is a better radio wave. They did come in and do a test.
Really?
Yeah, I would have thought height would have been better, but we had a guy come from, through our radio guy. They came and did a test where the radio waves are the best.
Huh.
And by with their program that they have, they could change the height, and it shows the footprint of the communications area. And by going up and down, we can set what basically covers the best ground. And somewhere
Now,
around 50 feet.
before we put a permanent tower up, are we gonna do a test to make sure that that actually is where the,
But we're talking a tower in front of the firehouse, 30 feet above the peak.
right?
So that's kind of what we came up with, and what's gonna hit the best.
But have they actually done a test using the tower there?
No, we have not done a test using the tower.
Do they do one, or they just put it up and then if they're
Put it
off,
up
they're off?
and, nah, I don't, being the long antenna, it should cover the area, because it changes that distance. I think the whip is like, I can't remember the height of the antenna. It's not just a short antenna, it's a long fiberglass rod type antenna.
Well, I guess the only reason I was asking or trying to get,
Say, if you put them up in like a bucket truck and tried different levels, just to, if if they had the repeater there, so you could go to the west side and see what it would do.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at is, you know, I hate to do this, spend this money and then miss by that much.
Right.
And actually know that that's gonna, because our lack of communication on that downhill side is, and the thing is everybody's slacking, especially like right where Lily Hill and Parish Hill, you know, Pollitt Road come together, and that dip there is, we don't get anything there, right?
No.
And even rescue doesn't get anything there.
No, there are some dead zones that we're just not gonna be able to pick up, unfortunately.
Yeah, because the only sad thing about that is if there's gonna be a rescue situation on a bad car accident, it's probably gonna be along the road.
Right.
And that's the area that's the dead spot is.
Right.
And it's kind of tough to deal with it with, you know, it'd be nice if we could get as much as we could out of it. I don't know if that's possible or if we're just,
Well, like what we do now, if we have a situation where we can't get in contact, we leave a person at the top of the hill, top of Paris Hill, and you can relay back and forth through the repeater.
yeah.
But that doesn't help you guys.
Well, it didn't help like when the rescue was stuck in the ditch down over the bank there,
Yeah.
and we didn't know it was there until Bovee hit him.
Yeah. Parish Hill itself should be covered all the way down through there with this new location.
Okay.
I will get in touch with my radio man and maybe he can send me a copy of that footprint.
Well, I just, you know, it's wherever we don't have service is where we're gonna have the problem.
Of course.
That's where something's gonna be some sort of issue or breakdown or this. And if we could eliminate the areas of that as much as we can. And that's the only reason I was asking about if we were testing, you know, different locations throughout the town with this, how well it would work, if we did that. But if you guys, if they're telling you we're gonna get the most bang for our buck where it is at that height,
Right. And the other thing is we have the generator backup, which you have to have a backup power
Right.
for it. And that's all set up at the firehouse right now, currently.
right. Yeah, and I wasn't questioning the location.
Right,
I was
just-
questioning the height,
Yeah.
if that actually made
Well,
sense to me.
I can get more information on that for next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a radio guy, but I always do know the farther up the antenna is usually in with Dutch Hill there, I just wasn't sure if we were, you know, if we were, but we're using that just to hit the Middletown repeater, are we? Is that where we're going with that signal?
No, that'll actually repeat right at the firehouse.
At the firehouse.
And it will, the repeater will simulcast with the antenna at the firehouse in the village. So it'll actually be, you know, it'll be carried up. If you're down here in the gut, it'll bounce from one repeater to the other, from one antenna to the other, excuse me.
Okay, I guess my last thing is there gonna be any dead spots that we're aware of that we're concerned with?
If I remember right, we had a couple spots down on, down toward 133, down around the S-Carn is the problem.
That's gonna be hard. That's gonna be about impossible from anywhere in
Right.
town to straighten that one out.
I don't remember the other spots that the footprint increased dramatically by the difference, of the heights and stuff.
What are you thinking we're gaining for percentage of coverage area?
I don't think I can answer that one correctly.
Right, no, I didn't know.
Yeah.
You thought 10%, 20%?
Oh, it was more than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it also has a lot to do with the repeater now is like 30 years old too. So upgraded communications is gonna make a big difference.
No. No, I mean, I just like, we've got money to spend obviously on stuff, and I just want to make sure that we're getting the best we can out of it, because hopefully we don't do it again for another 30 years or anything.
That would be a really nice idea.
So the other thing that I've been advocating to spend this money on is the water situation on Depot Street, and I made a video last week and I sent it to all of you. I hope you've had a chance to look at that when we had the rain event. And Ken and I have been talking about that, and we think the easiest solution, it might not be a complete fix, but as you could see from that video, there's a lot of water that's running down the street right now because of the broken pipe and the way the landowner had repaired it, that it's gushing up out of where the break is and running down the street. So Ken and I were talking about paving a swale all the way down to the stop sign. And over a year ago, Mount Tabor Select Board gave us permission to do what we needed to do there. They're not kicking in for it, but I'm hoping that we could get an estimate on paving a swale that would go all the way down to the stop sign, because the way it goes now is the water runs down, and just after it passes Frida's driveway, it dumps off into the meadow there and ponds there. So, we're still getting that ponding effect rather than running the water off and down along Route 7. And
So we'd be dealing with just the surface water that runs down the roads, right?
well, it's not the surface water so much
You're
as
catching what's coming out of the storm drain where it comes
in
from
front of the
daylight.
Masonic Temple.
In front of the Masonic
Down
Temple.
by- But down by Mark's where the pipe's broke, it comes up on Mark's land.
Right.
And he's got something there, so the water comes out in the street now.
Okay, so it's going underground, coming out, and then coming back up,
Yes.
right? Yep. And our solution is now to try to put it down the thing, as opposed to,
Digging.
Well, I think we have a couple different options that, once it comes above ground, can we keep it on the edge of the road? Or do we go just under the ground and bring it to daylight? I think if we try to go down and if we dig down to where the old drains were, we got nowhere for the water to go when it gets to Route 7. Unless we bring it to daylight somewheres down there.
well, that's the thing is with the elevations and stuff, I'm not aware of what we have for,
I thought that pipe daylighted 7.
It
It does, at the stop street, and we spent some time and money there. Remember rip-wrapping that by the stop sign? And then it flows south along Route 7 to the culvert down by the landmark shop driveway, and it goes
now,
under to the
that's
other
right on
side.
top of the water line then, or it got blowed apart because the water line's on that side.
The water line is on that side, but it's more out in the street rather than on the edge of the street.
When you tied into George's, you weren't that far off her line.
No, we weren't very far off right on the edge of the road. Where the curb stop was, but the main is more in the road.
Yeah.
I just think that we would be better off putting in a new drainage line instead of trying to collect it at the surface after the fact. But
Is it worth trying to dig around that where it's coming up and see what's going on?
I bet you it's broken.
Well, we know
quite a
that
few
there's a
places now.
broken clay tile pipe, and when we excavated to fix the.
Well, we talked about doing a new line there a couple of years ago, and the engineers kinda wanted way more than what they wanted
Yes.
hydraulic studies and all that, instead of just giving us a plan to fix the line.
Right.
Right, I mean, the only thing is our biggest concern would be in that water line should be 6 foot there, you figure, when you were
It
there?
should be, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is, choosing our route. I mean, we would have to pick up the old line probably somewhere around Marky's,
Yes, right where he's.
because
got-
we know it works to there,
Right.
and then run it down through from,
And that's
Straight-
shallow
straight
enough that you can reach down and touch that clay tile.
Yes,
right.
yes.
So there's plenty of.
Is this not something that a hydrology expert could shed some light on?
Oh, this is drainage, not,
It's,
No.
it's not the, so it's not the big problem.
I think a hydrogeologist would be talking about the shed area and the acreage and the water thing, and this is, we're just dealing with a broken drainage pipe, basically.
Okay, but is that drainage pipe connected to the larger issue of where all the things are
Oh, no, I
coming?
mean, I'm gonna say this for the millionth time, it's been that we don't clean the ditches that drain the swamps. And I've been there for 58
Oh,
years.
okay.
And that swamp has gone at least 4 feet higher as far as than what it was when Mike and I played down there as kids.
Right. And Irene filled in.
Well, and that's the thing, because
And that's not as deep. as
you're
it
calling it a rain event now, because it doesn't just rain anymore. It's rain events, and so everything's gonna be more maximized in that
Well,
way.
I think the problem is our rivers are full and our swamps are full.
Yeah,
And
In
the state
an
won't
effort,
let-
in an effort to save our climate, we're growing our swamps, which I believe is probably making more methane and carbon. So I'm not sure if we're on the right direction of not cleaning our ditches.
I think that's probably the biggest problem is, you need a big dredging from here to,
Yeah, I mean, the water table's
Champlain.
just so much higher now that, I mean, it's up a couple feet in the village area. And that's affected these guys terribly, son. Because the problem is surface water isn't full-time pumpable.
Right.
I mean, surface water, we get a rain event, and I mean, it's maybe 20,000 gallons, 50,000 gallons. You guys are down there, it's probably pumped millions and millions. But the problem is, when you're pumping against the water table, you're never gonna win the, I mean, it's impossible to win that battle.
Right, and the more you
I
pump
mean,
out, the more it
we've all
opens
set
up.
tanks in grounds where it's water and you can't win that. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got, 2,000 gallon a minute pumps that can't outpace the water table.
But this has definitely been going on more than just a few years with the climate doing what it's been doing.
Well, like I said, Raymond, I've been there
I know what you're saying.
and I used to play down that whole area, that swamp, and it's now, it's a bog.
Yep, well, I'm just hoping you guys can do something because 3/4 horse submersible pumps.
Well, see, and the thing is, we can deal with that surface water drainage thing that we're discussing now, but not to say this isn't gonna help you, but I hate to say, I don't think it's gonna help the water table down there, because the water table of the swamp is the whole valley, all the way up through there.
if it keeps the water in a rain event though, if we can prevent extra water.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, we can steer some of it down there,
Yeah,
but
it's not-
I think the problem is,
Well, yeah,
discharging it along Route 7, it just soaks into the swamp down there, and I'm not trying to say it's not gonna help at all, and I think the thing is, the surface water is the only thing we can deal with.
Right.
But,
Well, the thing is, it's got a lot to do with the water table. There's not surface water coming into the yard and going right into the basement. It's
There
coming
is.
up, it's coming up out of the ground.
Right.
And it's the
And-
lack of drainage that used to be there.
And I'll tell you how fast it's coming in. Back in January, we had that one rainstorm, and for whatever reason, I said, call your parents and check and see if all 3 pumps are pumping. Well, mom looked out the window and said, yep, they're pumping, and I just had this feeling, I said, we better go down and check. And we went down, and somebody, for whatever reason, had shut the pull switch off to the light socket where they've got their pumps plugged in the basement. And the water was just, I had my lacrosse boots on, and it was like an inch from coming right over the top of them. And that's how quick it can fill up down there. I mean, and that rain had happened in the afternoon. I mean, I think a couple of you have been down there and saw where the pumps sit. I mean, that water is really coming in when it's coming.
See, you know, in an effort to save his basement, he's actually making the water come in faster because the water now basically pulls the fines with it, cleans, gets a nice trough. I'm calling it a trough, but
It's a catch-22.
yeah, no, and I'm saying in an effort to save his basement, you have to pump,
Yeah.
but the more you pump, the faster the
Faster
water,
it's gonna
because
come down.
every gallon of water that comes through the ground actually takes silt with it, which opens up the veins more, and it's like fracking, you know, you start pulling on it hard. So, I mean, that's a pretty tough situation to answer.
I mean, and
Has he, what is the actual level and he hasn't let it go? I mean, over at White's house, that one's not being pumped. What is the actual water?
I mean.
They've shut everything down because they've lost their furnace. And
Yeah, but I didn't know, is
Oh,
it at 2 feet, 3 feet in the basement? Because then you could actually calculate how high that's gonna come up over there, because,
Well, if we let it go before we got, the last time we were there, I think it was at over 2 feet. I mean, it's just, I guess the biggest issue is that before the restructuring happened with the water line, we didn't have that problem, and granted, the climate has changed and there's more water, but regarding the previous drainage that used to be there, that was never, I mean, the pump never came on, if ever, as a kid growing up. I mean, obviously, things have changed.
well, I think, see, the thing is, we're going back to, that would have been
Over
30
30 years ago, yeah.
more than 30 years ago.
But if that's the case, why wouldn't the pond down by McCollum's be filling right up?
You don't think that elevation is what, that,
I mean, you know, I can't believe that it's that much. When you look at that pond, and again, I don't know, you know, I haven't been out there surveyed or anything like that to see what the elevation actually is. But, I mean, you know, like you said, you know, I spent a good number of my lives here too. And, I mean, that pond, we're used to, you know, it doesn't look like it's changed a whole lot from when, you know, we.
but that still has the drain that goes under the highway.
And it's popping up and it's running all over Crosby's parking lot there.
Okay,
And
so-
it's
So
under the mill.
if you put the drain in over up there, it would drain without the mechanical means of.
So you're saying then that that's draining out all the time? And it's going down through there?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
that's
guys,
blowing
I
right up
mean,
by the building.
Yeah, yeah, and so Raymond, what I'm saying is Ed's doing the same thing to his basement as the drainage pipe is doing for free to, St. John there. Because it does flow out of there, it's just it can take the flow. I mean, the options there, I don't know if the elevations are low enough there to drain the basement level over that way, you know, without.
Could that be looked into?
Well,
Well, that's what that grant from, hopefully that Rutland Regional is gonna
see that, if we get that grant, that will help
study.
with the big
that whole
picture
The big picture,
study.
yeah.
And then we can all find out if we're just,
But the immediate thing is, in my mind, to fix the broken drain. So I would be all in favor of digging and putting in a new pipe. But if that's too expensive or too difficult or whatever, then the backup would be a swale.
I guess my only concern with that pipe is that old bridge or whatever that is right at George's, that area there, because it'd be nice to put the drain, I mean, being on the shoulder, we could get away with 8 inches under the,
Yeah. You wouldn't have to be that far.
It-
And if I remember right, there's about 3 feet of pitch.
yeah, down through there.
Yeah.
But I'm
The
saying,
elevation from the railroad tracks to the triangle is 11 feet.
yeah,
Shot.
but the highway over it drops pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
Right, you get plenty of pitch from Marquise down to
Yeah.
Route 7.
Right.
And
So,
it doesn't have to be very deep. Just dump it down at the,
12-inch pipe.
yeah, there's probably only 8 in it. What was in that catch basin?
15 inch,
Was it that big?
I believe so. I believe it was 15-inch clay tile that came out of that catch basin. We sleeved it with 18-inch culvert,
That's interesting.
because I ended up cutting the bell off from digging around it and sleeving it.
Oh, this is on the other side.
This is
By the Masons.
the catch basin by the Mason Hall,
Yeah.
because
I
that
mean-
ties into it as well.
I guess going through that bridge abutment or whatever the heck that thing was.
Yeah, you'd be on this side of it. I mean, the water's running on the road side of it at this point, and the old clay tile pipe that we saw when we fixed the water line, was on the road side of the abutment.
So I think the thing to do though is we should get a couple estimates or on that
Probably
project,
measure it
because then
and
we
get an
should,
estimate.
because not saying that it's gonna take a lot of time, but you guys really don't have the time to do it. I'd rather just,
With just 2 of us, we don't really
Well, I
have the
think we're
time to
much
do
better
it.
off to, yeah, the town crew's got enough going on.
Yeah.
so I would say we could just,
So
and then we could.
are you willing to get those estimates, Mike?
Yeah, I can try.
I mean, we can get three prices and,
So are we gonna hook on to where it's bubbling out and just continue on to Route 7?
yeah, I think our best bet is, we should have, like a conference down there with any of the people that are wanna,
Probably we should all look at it, or a couple of us look at it before we meet with any contractors, so we know what we're telling them.
yeah, but same thing is, and in any of the pre-bids, typically we get amendments
Yeah.
afterwards, because the contractors come up with,
Yeah.
the right ideas, or at least the ones that's what they do every day. It works in our world that they're wrong every time they put out a project.
Do you have a very rough ballpark idea what something like that might cost?
I wouldn't even want to guess, because I'd miss a million things sitting here thinking about it.
Well, just the price of pipe and plastic right now, you know,
Yeah, but that's, I mean, there's probably a few other things there logistically, but,
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, by the time you
Do you think
you
we're,
dig it out, take the material away, put clean material around it, pipe, I wouldn't dare throw a price per foot.
but do you think we're like in the $50,000 category, the $100,000 category? Like, I'm just trying to figure out how much money we're still gonna have in this ARPA pot.
Well, I think that we can sum that up here in by the next meeting, we should be able to put this together. I mean, I wouldn't wanna, if Ken wants to put his neck in a guillotine and throw a number out and.
No, because we don't know the,
For an exact number.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that there's
There's,
to ask a question like that on,
there's so
for that
many
project sitting here at a
variables.
table with them is, you know, it's not an answerable number.
No.
May I ask what is available in the ARPA pot?
I said that earlier.
Oh, sorry.
$257,809.
And has that minused out
No,
antenna thingy ding?
no.
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 We've got plenty of money to do it. It's just deciding the project that we're doing to
And then
make
the
sure.
next question would be, once we get that, would we have enough money to move the transfer station?
And we have talked about, Mount Tabor's not interested in doing, they're saying this is our problem and
Right.
we just gotta deal with it.
Well, to put it up there, it gets it out of the town cruise way, and that is the center of town.
And
And we can make a
We
one-way
have-
drive-through so it'd
we
be
have
safer.
increasingly worse parking and hazardous situations going on with traffic happening here.
No, my own,
Time
the
goes
only
on.
thought is on that is, I'm pretty sure we would need a permit for that, to move that couple. I'm not sure under the Rutland County solid waste permits, and probably an Act 250 is what I'm thinking. I mean, I thought we probably would have to get somebody to give us the exact number of permits that we need to do that.
Well, that's something we should be looking into then.
Yeah.
Are there any other improvements around this site that you'd like to see accomplished?
Around this site,
Yeah,
brand new garage, be nice.
not gonna get that. We just
Well, I
spent
guess
a
we're
lot
all
on
set.
that, But, no other,
Not right off the top of my head, no.
not a door on the third bay or anything like that?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, so, I guess it hinges largely on getting these estimates put together for June.
Okay.
Okay, anything else on the ARPA funds? Next, we'll have the road commissioners report.
All right. Give us your latest update, Steve.
It says road commissioner.
Well, I want to hear what the crew did this week.
What the crew did. Well, we've been pulling stumps on Timmins Pond, Baker Brook. We've been working on ditching there. Larry's been out doing a lot of grading. We've got all of the high traffic roads have been done at least once, and he's been working on smaller roads. I've had York rake out and worked on a couple of the roads just to try and fill in some of the holes and pull back some of the gravel off the edges. And today we started dealing with beaver problems again because we've been getting issues out on Danby Mountain. 6-foot culvert was 3-foot plugged. So we got rid of that and trying to do some more tree work.
On the traffic study, Brad, that you've got down here, were we doing that, or were you contacting them? Was it
No,
Steve?
I thought one of you guys was gonna talk to,
Patrick would be our guy on that?
I can get a hold of Patrick on it.
Yeah, and then just ask him that.
So there is a question from Annette Smith. Where are they talking about moving the transfer station? So we're backing up just a little to that other conversation.
to the town property at Danby Four Corners.
Did you catch that, Annette? Okay.
Okay, so then I guess next would be a motion to approve fleet permits for Cardinal Logistics, Consolidated Communications, Resource Management Incorporated, Suncommon, and Abbott Construction.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then we have a letter of intent for the Municipal Roads Grant and Aid Program. Where did that go? Did you?
You and Steve were.
Oh, Steve, right.
We're
So
filling
we
it
did
out.
that.
Yep.
And we'll just take a motion that says somebody make a motion to
I'll
sign
make
it.
the motion that we sign it.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any old business? Any new business? A motion to adjourn.
I make the motion.
I'll second that.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.